Agents podcast.
Welcome back, LabCoatAgents, to another episode of the LabCoatAgents podcast. And today I am excited. So at the time of recording, this is a really busy day for me, and I get to interview and talk with some really good friends in the industry. And this one will not absolutely disappoint. We are going to be going deep on the conversation of lead conversion, remarketing. Let me say that again. Remarketing. Do you even know what that means? That's a good reason to stick around. We're going to go deep on video marketing with the founder of the platform called Witly, Mr. Grant Wise, who has recently rolled out an even sexier version of Witly, where you basically push a couple of buttons and bam, you are driving leads. Grant, I know it's not quite that easy, but let's talk about it. Welcome to the show, my friend, Grant Wise.
Oh man, thank you for having me back. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. So let's rewind for a second. Let's talk about who in the heck you are. For those of our listeners who have never met you or don't know about you, which if you don't, you're probably not on Facebook. But let's tell them who you are, like how you came up in the business and why you are where you are today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I've been in the industry kind of on the social media training side of things for the last 6, 7, 8 years. Primarily started teaching real estate agents how to use Facebook ads and evolved into becoming more of a client generation expert over the last couple of years. And, mainly what I do is I help real estate agents turn their businesses into these little client generating machines and help them understand how to put systems in place so that, they can focus on their current clients while they have systems that are constantly working to help them generate new ones. And I've had a blast doing that. I've helped sell billions of dollars of real estate. I've been able to do a lot of really cool stuff, travel, be on all the stages and connect with all the great people. And it's been quite a ride up to this point. And co-founder of Witly, which is an automated advertising platform that basically runs real estate agents' Facebook ads for them to help them generate leads, to help them do remarketing and retargeting and stuff like that. And so that's the short version of who I am.
Awesome. And to give a little context, like how did you end up in the real estate side of things? Because you could have gone a million different directions with what you do. So how did you end up on the real estate side?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in the real estate industry. Everybody in my family had a license to some degree. And when I was getting into the industry myself, I had zero interest in actually selling houses. I never was really like transactionally motivated. I didn't want to help people buy homes or sell homes. I always wanted to help people grow businesses. And so whenever I got started, I think when I started my first brokerage, I was 21 and worked on that for a couple of years and ended up leaving that company and started a social media training company teaching agents how to use Facebook ads. Primarily was how I got started in the social media space. And so before that though, I traveled the country. My job in the brokerage that I'd started was traveling the country and recruiting. And so, we had these really aggressive growth plans. We wanted to be in 500 markets in 5 years. We were 100% commission-based brokerage. And after traveling the country for a couple of years doing recruiting, I learned a lot about real estate agents and what they wanted and what they didn't want. And, whenever I left the company, I just kind of pivoted and started helping agents understand how to generate leads, and things kind of took off for me. But I grew up in the industry. I've never had a license. I've always just been more interested in marketing, sales, business, those types of things. And so that's what I've primarily studied for the last decade. Specifically how to help real estate agents grow. It's the only clients I work with. We help some loan officers and some investors and some people in title, but primarily we help real estate agents grow. And that's how I got into the industry.
Awesome. So you focus on what most real estate professionals are not good at. And that's why you're having so much success. So when did Witly, when was it founded? How long has it been in existence?
We launched Witly March 31st, 2017. And so whenever I started teaching people how to use Facebook ads, well, before lead forms came out, you had to build funnels, right? You had to build landing pages and email campaigns and text campaigns. You had to build all these automations. And we were struggling. We weren't really struggling, but our clients were struggling because they would buy access to the training. They'd start going through that. And it took a ton of time. I mean, it would take hours just to build funnels so you could run Facebook ads and do it effectively anyway. And the people that did it had a ton of success. And unfortunately, there was a larger percentage of people that didn't want to do it because they didn't want to take the time. They didn't have the patience. They struggled a lot with the technology aspects. And we were spending most, if not all of our time as technical support for these different companies. And so I was like, what if we could just build something that would do all this stuff for them? What if we could build something and they just click a button and their funnels are built, their emails are put in place, their texts are done, their pixels are placed, everything's done compliantly. What if we could just like snap our fingers and it was done? And so I entered into a relationship with my co-founder. His name's Josh. And back in October of 2016, we hatched the plan. By December, we started developing, and then we launched the product in 2017. And it was really cool because Witly, literally in the snap of a finger, you could launch an entire marketing funnel. It wouldn't do the Facebook ads, but it would do all the back end stuff. And that's when Witly was created, with this kind of, mission or vision of true end-to-end user automation. We wanted to build something that could do everything for the agent on the marketing side so that they didn't have to get kind of stuck doing it. And so that's when the company was founded, was when we built a tool that would pre-build all their marketing funnels for them. And it was very successful with the people that we launched it to. Our clients absolutely loved it because it did all the back end work. So literally in less than a couple of minutes, they could do what it was taking somebody hours and hours and hours to do.
Yeah, fantastic. Would it be fair to describe it as like creating your own lead source? So rather than going to the lead aggregators and buying them from them, you're creating your own lead source essentially.
Well, I think that it can, yeah, 1,000%. I mean, if somebody doesn't have leads, they can use Witly to generate leads for them. I think that the most powerful thing it does is that through dynamic video remarketing, it helps you increase the conversion on the many lead sources you may have. So if you're getting leads from any platform, Facebook or Ylopo or Zillow or Open Houses or your website or PPC, any lead source you have, if we can connect our video remarketing campaigns to your lead source, it would allow you to increase your conversion by 100, 200, 300%. And I think that's probably the most powerful thing that it does. But absolutely, I mean, if we have templated ads in our platform, so if somebody doesn't have a lead source, they don't have any of those leads coming in. I mean, they can basically, theoretically snap their fingers after entering a couple of, maybe images or their ad copy, and their ads would be live. Yeah, so it definitely can.
Awesome. Would you say, so I'm trying to kind of set the table here in the context, are the users that are having the most success on your platform, are they the ones driving their own leads, bringing the leads into the system, and then doing the remarketing, which is important? And I want to get deep into remarketing because it's kind of a buzzword, but I don't know if everybody truly understands what it means. Or are they doing the latter, which I asked the previous question, which is driving their own leads into the system?
I think that there's a very healthy mixture. We probably see more people come to us now that already have leads. Generating leads is actually pretty easy today. There's been so many training programs and courses and agencies come out. Everybody's selling leads. I think it's a 2018 stat, but in 2018, there were over 85 million leads generated with only, I think, roughly 5 or 6 million homes sold, right? So it's not hard to find leads. Right. I think we're working with a ton of people that can't get their leads to answer the phone, respond to the text, respond to their emails. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest problems that we solve, is that we're able to use that video remarketing basically automatically. Witly does it for you, and it really helps drive a conversion. So we do see people come and they want to get some leads pumping in, and maybe they want to test a new source, and Witly does that. But I think for the most part, it's people that have lead sources. So we can help both people, but that's probably how we fall there.
I love it. And you set the perfect segue here to the next conversation, which is, talking about how it is relatively easy in today's day and age. 5 years ago, we were all into getting the lead. Now there's a million ways to get the lead, and it's fairly inexpensive and affordable ones. And most can become their own guru. You can just go learn how to do this stuff. But what most people forget about is they're so focused on getting the lead and the name and the number and the email, they forget, oh crap, now what am I going to do with it? And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about lead conversion. Let's talk about remarketing, just kind of down to its core from, from your words, like, what does that really mean to you to effectively convert leads, especially when it comes to remarketing?
I think that, one of the reasons that we focus on client generation, not lead generation, is because so many people do buy leads like crazy and they don't ever do anything with them. And so when we started shifting the conversation to like, hey, let's generate clients, okay, instead of generating leads, because leads are basically useless. How do we turn your business into this machine that just gives you as many clients per month as you could possibly want? And that really became the fixation of our conversation a couple of years ago. And in doing so, we were able to start building systems, helping agents build systems that not just generated leads, but built a brand, built a relationship with those leads, and that converted those leads almost on autopilot, so that the agent really only had to do a few things like create video content, stuff like that. And then for the most part, they've got this system that's just working for them 24/7, 365. So remarketing is kind of like when you go to Amazon to buy a product and you decide not to buy it. And then the next thing you know, you go back to Facebook and that product's sitting right there in your news feed with some promo code for you to come back and buy it, right? That's remarketing. They're continuing to market to you after your first interaction with them. Statistically speaking, 2% of people would be prepared to do business with somebody the first time they land on their website. And 98% of people are buying products from people that have marketed to them a second, third, fourth, fifth time. We saw this, right? We see this in old school lead conversion strategies, right? I mean, you're going to call the lead, text the lead, email the lead as many times as it takes till you get them on the phone, and then you convert them. And in doing that, I think they say now it's like 12 to 16 touches, calls, texts, emails, then somebody actually wants to talk to you, and then you have a chance to convert leads. And so what we started doing is instead using video content. And so if somebody became a lead of yours from any source, Facebook or Zillow or your website or wherever, any source, the moment those people go back to Facebook and Instagram and social media, they see your face. They're starting to build a relationship with you and create a connection with you, because we're creating videos, right? And then we're using those videos to essentially follow our prospects all over the internet, so that the buyer and seller can build a relationship with us without us having to call, text, or email anybody. And that really transformed the way that our clients were able to convert leads, because they could set the texts and the emails and all that stuff on automations and drip campaigns and their CRMs, but they couldn't figure out, how do I get in front of these leads? I can't get anybody to respond to me. How do I get in front of them? Well, if we use video content, it's basically like us setting the agent right in front of that buyer or seller like that instantly. I mean, just the moment somebody goes back to social media, they can start building a relationship with you. And that literally transformed 100, 200, 3% increase in conversion, which is tens of thousands of dollars to an agent. I mean, if you were converting 1 of every 100 leads, which, believe it or not, is the average in the real estate industry, now all of a sudden you're converting 2 of every 100, 3 of every 100, 4 of every 100. You can transform your whole life by, changing just one little bitty thing. And it's so simple. And so that's what remarketing is to me. And it's what we do to help people increase their conversion.
I love it. And I think what you just said to me there was, and I'm thinking in the mind of the agent, which traditionally, I think most agents think, get lead, call lead. That's very basic. Get lead, put lead into a CRM where it's going to text, where it's going to maybe do auto voicemails, where it's going to auto send emails, where it's going to remind you to call them, right? That's the traditional way of quote unquote chasing down clients, leads, right? And what Grant is saying now, and for anybody who knows me, knows I'm very passionate about video. This isn't rocket science, but it is next level. I mean, this is the next level of remarketing. Whereas I'm not going to name names, but all of those platforms that did all of those things that I said are basically, that's kind of the old school way of doing it anymore. It feels like it was just yesterday we were setting up these auto dialers and setting up these auto texts and these auto emails, and it was so amazing. And now it's like already run its course. Like people are already over it. And like, think about what Grant said. Now, when they go to social media, which everybody goes to social media, one platform, literally almost everybody. And so instead of you having to annoy them, you just automatically show up. And not only are you showing up, it's your authentic you, and you can, I guess, control the message. So now that we've broken that down, and I think for a lot of people, they're probably thinking, holy crap, yeah, totally makes sense. I didn't think about this. This is brilliant. Oh, and by the way, Grant just got done having his video remarketing event. At the time of recording this, it was a couple of weeks ago. It was in Bentonville, Arkansas. It was amazing. I was there. It was an incredible event, different, very unique. We're living in a unique time, but the way Grant executed it, it was awesome. He had VIP. And we went deep on this. And before I forget to say it, Grant, let's make sure we give our listeners a link to go check this out, right? If they want to go access that stuff, or that if you have a way to do that, let's give that to them at the end. But let's go deep. Let's talk about this whole video remarketing concept. So, all right, fine. I get it. But what should I say in the video? Like, how do I execute?
We're at a time, if you remember 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, if anybody even just put a Facebook ad out there, it worked because so few people were doing it. And so I think it's important to kind of notate that we're kind of in that same situation now with video marketing because so few people are doing it. Don't let your kind of like circle of things you pay attention to distort, the reality. What I'm saying is if you go to like the LabCoatAgents Facebook group and people are talking about video marketing, you may be seeing a couple hundred people talking about video marketing. That does not account for the 2 million people in the real estate industry that aren't actually doing that. So there's very few people using video marketing right now, which means that you can suck horribly at it and you're still going to be really successful. And that's really good news. What I'm saying is that I'm trying to find my phone here. I don't know where it's at. If you pull out your cell phone and you created a video that was 1 to 3 minutes talking about, hey, my name's Grant and I sell houses for this reason. You just connect with people, talk about why you do what you do, which is really important. Like something that simple. My name's Grant and this is why I sell houses. That video alone, that 90 seconds, that 3 minutes, however long you want to rant about it, that one video could allow you to create a connection with a realtor. And hey, guess what? When you go sit in for a listing presentation or a buyer's consultation, what are you doing the first few minutes of the meeting? You're trying to build a relationship with people. You're talking about why you're passionate about selling real estate, why you're passionate about helping them solve problems. All we did when we created kind of this little, these 2 or 3 videos you could create instantly to start remarketing is we broke down a listing presentation. Well, the first part of a listing presentation, you're building a relationship with somebody, you're connecting. The second part of a listing presentation, you're educating, right? You're taking their beliefs about selling a home or buying a home, and you're breaking those down and you're building them back up with your beliefs. That's sales 101. So guess what your second video could be about? How to buy a home, how to sell a property. And oh, by the way, if you break that down, there's like 12 to 15 steps per buying and per selling. Hey, there's weeks of content you could create, but let's just take one little quick tip, quick thing about selling your property. You're starting to educate them. You're starting to really just kind of display your authority status, right? You're showing them how educated you are about the process. Well, then the third video that you should create, in my opinion, is a testimonial. Because once you talk to somebody about how they should sell their home or how they could, you validate that education and insight with experience that other people have had, like a testimonial or a piece of social proof. And then lastly, you typically are demonstrating your knowledge of the community because you're thought to be some of the most influential people in any community. You're talking about schools and you're talking about restaurants and you're talking about businesses. Hey, guess what we're creating our videos about? Schools, restaurants, businesses. I mean, it's really that simple. All we ever did is we took a listing presentation and we basically broke it down into a video sequence. So if somebody becomes a lead from any source, let's say it's Facebook, somebody becomes a lead from Facebook. Well, when they go back to Facebook or Instagram after they get done looking at whatever you gave them, hey, this is Grant. This is why he sells real estate. Oh, I just opted in for his stuff. And then maybe a day goes by. The next video they see is, hey, top 3 things you need to know before you sell your house, in the middle of a pandemic. Don't say that because Facebook won't approve that as an ad, but that's just an example. Top 3 things you must know to sell your house right now. The top 3 things to know about your home's value right now, or just something like that. Oh, hey, look, it's Grant again. He's talking about selling a home and I'm thinking about selling my home, which is why I opted into his stuff a couple of days ago. This is really good stuff. Goes back the next day. Oh, hey, look, it's a video about somebody that Grant helped sell a property to, and they're talking about their experience. Oh, that's a great story. It sounds like they had a great, like, that's how simplistic it can be, is just creating a couple of videos that are about what you're an expert on. It's that simple, right? I think we can overcomplicate this because most real estate agents are too busy to be creative. And so if you just literally copy and paste, hey, why video, 90 seconds, boom, that's video 1. Hey, how to sell your home, boom, that's video number 2. Hey, social proof, a testimonial, that's video number 3. If you can line those up in a sequence, and you can do this with Facebook ads, if a lead comes in, you can trigger where one video goes out and the next video goes out and then the third video goes out. That's all you have to do. And that's exactly what you do in your sales presentations anyway. All I'm saying is have those conversations via video and let the buyer or seller have them by themselves. You don't have to be a part of that. One of the things I love is that any sales call I show up for, people are already sold, right? I've already built the relationship with them. They're at least already sold on me because they've been watching my video content for a day or a year or however long it takes.
Yeah. So as you break this down, I want to kind of digress on the topic a little bit. And, so video in and of itself, not a lot of people are doing, even though, despite, like Grant said, like, you think you're hearing all about it because you're hanging out in groups like LabCoatAgents or other groups like that. And you think that's what's happening, but it's really not the case. And Grant validated it. I'm going to say it, like, you're still in infancy. But we also have the conversation of the dilution of Facebook and what people see. And so I'm thinking to myself, as I'm an agent, and I'm thinking, well, all right, sounds amazing. Like, it makes sense. I get it. But at the same token, what are the odds that potential customer, that lead, that client is going to actually open or click to watch my video? Because, think about it, Grant, they're scrolling their screen and maybe they're just there for mindless content. So how do I know that I'm actually getting the touch that I want?
I think that's a great question. When you're generating leads, you've got to understand what gives you the ability to generate a lead is that a buyer or seller has a desire to buy or sell a property, or they have a need to buy or sell a property. Okay. So if somebody opts in for a marketing campaign of yours, or you buy a lead from somewhere, what you're gaining access to is a name, email, phone number of somebody interested in the real estate process. That's just understanding that is important. So when you look at who you are marketing to, it's people interested in real estate. You want to understand is, like, when you're putting out real estate related content, it's what they are paying attention to, is because it's the problem that they currently need to solve. If those people were Googling different toothpaste brands, they would be seeing advertisement for different toothpaste brands. If those people wanted to know what type of camera to buy, they would be seeing advertisements for what type of cameras to buy. If people wanted to know who to vote for, they would be seeing content about politics. And so I think understanding that is just important, because what you're looking for, what you're searching for, Google, Facebook, Instagram, these platforms are going to give you an experience that helps you kind of solve that current problem. So if you're putting out video content to somebody interested in real estate, just based on that person's behavior, they will see your stuff. But Facebook gives you the ability to track these things. So let's say, for example, you put out a piece of video content and you want to make sure that you continue to market to those people. Facebook allows you to build what we call a remarketing audience or a custom audience based on how long somebody watched your video, whether it's 3 seconds or 10 seconds or 15 seconds. They also have 25, 50, 75, 95%. Facebook lets us track that so that we can continue to market to those people. And when we build a marketing funnel, you think about what a funnel is. If you put a funnel on something and you pour, a bunch of liquid into the top, it's going to funnel it down into your jar, oil in your car, whatever. Well, it's the same way here. What we're doing is we're casting this wide net, and then we're funneling people back to our business. And that happens in stages and phases. There's the awareness phase, which is lead generation. And then there's the consideration or the discovery phase, where people are trying to build a relationship with you. And then there's the action phase, where people start taking appointments and meetings. And then there's that decision phase where people say, yes, I'm going to do business with you. No, I'm not. And so when we're marketing, what we're doing is we're just consistently funneling people through this process of, your, what you would call your sales process or your marketing funnel. And that's what's going to, essentially, you're going to go market to, let's say, 10,000 people, and you're going to funnel those 10,000 people down to where one person, every day, week, month, year wants to come and do business with you. So I hope that makes sense. Facebook does give us the ability to track and see who's watching our content and when. And that's what allows you to just consistently funnel people through your sales process so that you have, more appointments to go on, more homes to list, and more homes to help people buy.
So we're talking, I've got a couple questions, but we're talking specifically about Facebook. I know somebody's thinking to themselves, well, does this automatically work on Instagram as well, since those are sister platforms?
By default, yeah. A lot of the ad placements, when you're putting out Facebook ads, it's going to default, unless you uncheck it, it's going to go to the Instagram platform as well, as long as the video is built based on Instagram's parameters. If the video is too long, it's not going to, or so on and so forth.
And so let's talk strategy. So let's just say, okay, I'm listening, I'm hearing, I know you're right, I need to do this. And, obviously it sounds simple. We know it's not, but what is the proper strategy on that touch point? So like you said, you create the 3 different videos, right? That kind of take you through you mentioned 3 different ones, and it ends with testimonial, right? And you've got something real estate related and maybe something maybe about you in the beginning, right? What is the cadence that you suggest to someone if they just said, I want to go out and try to do this on my own? What is the cadence by which you touch them? Because knowing that you're using 100, right? There's 100, you might convert 1 to 5. And the frequency by which people actually absorb or capture or watch your stuff is going to be very, very different based on busyness, based on when it touches them. So how many times should I be hitting them with stuff? What's the cadence from jumping from one video to the next and then recirculating it? Talk about that.
I know you won't like my answer here, but a lot of people tell realtors, you got to create new content every day. You just got to create it every day or once a week or whatever. And I've still not met many agents that do that. And even do it effectively. And so I always ask this question: would you rather create new videos every single day, but only have 5 to 10% of the people that follow you see those? Or would you rather create one really good piece of video content every few weeks and know that everybody that follows you is going to see it? And you guys that are listening to this podcast, you can just answer that question silently to yourself. I feel like I may know the answer, right? I can hear what you're thinking. That's what Facebook does to us, right? We basically hear what we're thinking. Mm-hmm. And so what we typically would coach somebody to do is, just take a couple hours on a Tuesday, once or twice a month, and create a few pieces of video content. Or just create one. In my opinion, it really doesn't matter. Create 1 to 2 or 3 to 5, whatever you want to do. And then what we want to do is we want to set those up as advertisements so that when leads come in, my first video, they see it and they're going to see it. And Facebook's not just going to show them the same ad every single day unless you only have one in place. If you have a couple of videos, they'll basically cycle this content so that your audience sees, one day they see your Y video, and the next they see this video, and the next they see this video. And then they'll kind of go back through those pieces of video content until you change them up or you add new content. You can see that by a data point. It's called your frequency. If you look inside of your Facebook ad manager, you can see this metric called frequency, and it will show you how many times they've shown your videos to people in your target audience. My recommendation: create 1 to 3 videos, once a month or once every couple of weeks, whatever you want to do, and then set those up as ads so that when new leads come in, they see those few videos you create, and then do that until the ads stop working. I don't think you should necessarily, and we've kind of proven this, I don't believe that you need to be on this rotation of I'm going to create new videos every day or so on and so forth. Based on what I've seen, most people don't do it. And then based on what I've also seen is that your video content will work for you for a long time. And that's why I love creating videos, is because it basically allows me to clone myself so that I can go back to focusing on my business while my clone, i.e. my video, is out there working to convert leads for me. And we've got a client in Georgia, his name's Matt. Every 8 weeks, he creates new video content because that's what he's seen as kind of the cadence of when he needs to adjust his videos. We had over 800, and I believe it's 36,000 video views in 2019 alone. Just every few weeks, creating a couple new videos and remarketing them to the people that came into his the leads that he generated. Yeah. And he sold 64 properties in 2019, made $400,000 net. So I think that if you can understand that, like, in my opinion, I don't believe you need to create video content every day. I think that you're busy negotiating contracts and doing appraisals and inspections and all the business stuff. So if you can just take a day or half a day and create a couple pieces of content, put those into ads that remarket and follow your leads all over the internet, and then do that every few weeks, I think that that's perfect. Based on what I've seen, that's enough. Like that would drastically transform the way that you're able to convert and increase your sales.
Was the stats that you just gave for Matt, was that specific to that strategy, or was that just total, like came from all different sources?
That was specific to that strategy. So he had actually invested roughly $36,000 in ads. He spent, I think it worked out to be just over $500. So every $500 he spent using that strategy, he would sell a property. So every $500 he gave to Facebook through ad spend, he would get a client, and that was typically around a $6,000 commission check. So I don't know if you're listening to this, if you would be willing to invest $500 to make $6,000. I've not yet met somebody that wouldn't. Those were his stats. So $36,000 in ad spend, and that was roughly, it was $34,000 in ad spend. It was roughly 36 advertisements total that he ran throughout the year. At any given time, he would have 2 to 4 different ads going. So that was his cadence.
Well, what Grant just said is interesting because we've talked about this, and I think we even talked about this the last time we had you on the podcast, which is understanding like your metrics, understanding how much money you're spending for every lead you're driving. And I think on the surface, when you talk about that spend, you talk about, like it depends how the conversation is laid out. If you go to an agent and say, I need you to spend $36,000 next year on ad spend, they're gonna be like, what? But you left out the part, and if I could guarantee you that you're going to make $400,000 on that $36,000, would you do it? Which is a no, right? It depends on the context of how you present it.
And I think that you got to understand too, Matt didn't start there. He started spending like $300 or $400 a month, which is typically what we recommend. And then you just scale based on how your business grows. Matt would consistently reinvest 20% of his revenue back into his marketing. So his ad budget grew astronomically over the course of 2 to 3 years. So it wasn't like he started out the gate spending $3,000 a month. He slowly let his business build him to a point where he could invest $3,000 per month. We recommend that our clients start at $300 per month. I mean, that's enough. You could spend 60% of that budget on lead generation, spend 30% of that budget on remarketing campaigns, and spend 10% of that budget on what we call conversion ads or call to action campaigns, get somebody to book an appointment with you or send you a message. That's enough. And then once you figure out how much it costs you to get a commission check, so if you spend $500 like Matt and make $6,000, once you figure out those numbers, it's really where your business becomes infinitely scalable, because when you know that you can spend $500 and get a commission check, you're probably going to try to do that as often as you possibly can. And it's when you know that, you can really predict how many homes you'll sell every single month. And I like to get really nerdy about that, because if an agent can buy into that investor mindset, basically I'm going to give $1 and I'm going to get this many dollars back, you can really scale your company to a point that you never even thought possible.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And for the record, because this is not the purpose of this episode, if you want to go check out that episode, it's episode number 59. We did it last spring. Go check that out, because we do dive deep on that topic, and you will gain a ton from it as well. But today, obviously, we're on the remarketing, especially video remarketing. And I want to bring up something that Grant said, where he said, Jeff, you're not going to agree with me. And Grant actually says this pretty much every time I'm in the room, because we know each other pretty well. And we know that we both have a different mindset on it. I'm not saying I'm right and Grant's right or wrong or whatever. because he's probably more right in the sense that most humans want to do less and get more, right? And Grant knows that my strategy is neurotic consistency, which is a different style. Like I'm sharing my life and being authentic, which is completely off topic. But I just wanted to context that so people know why he said that. And he is right. I don't disagree with him one iota. It's two different, completely different strategies. In fact, if you want to be an overachiever, do them both and see what happens to your career.
Well, and I think that I should probably add in here. I do both. I have these videos that I create that are they're solely meant to warm up cold leads, right? So we'll do lead generation, and I call it cold lead generation because those people that really don't know me, I'm putting out something of value, they're opting in for it. And then afterwards, we have these video sequences they go through so they can build a relationship with me. I do create videos every day, but I'm creating videos every day meant for people that know me, like me, trust me, that are following me. You know, I'm trying to build a deeper connection and relationship with those warm leads, if you will, or those people that are hot, that are raving fans that, you know, I create video content every day for those people. But so I would say that I personally kind of have somewhat of a hybrid. I have these pre-recorded pieces of content that were very well crafted, very strategically crafted to help warm leads up. And then once people kind of get into my world and into my network, they're going to see more of my stories, my private Facebook group videos, my email content. They're going to see some of that stuff. So I do create content on the daily, and we have teams of people that kind of help us do that inside of our company. But when it comes to, you know, generating leads and warming those leads up so that they are, you know, people that want to do business with me, most of that content is pre-strategized, and we put a lot of thought behind that.
Well, and this is important to point out too. So when he says that, this is the way I articulate that. What he's really saying is he practices what he preaches. And in this day and age of real estate, this real estate world where there's tons of coaches that are just really good talkers, but they actually never actually did anything that they're telling you to do. This is why I grow friendships with people like the Grants of the world and the Carrie Scholes of the world and people like that who do what I'm the same way. Like I don't stand on a mountaintop and tell you to do something if I'm not already doing it. And it's already had an impact on my life and on my career because it works, right? And what Grant just said is not only can he articulate it and be an expert at it and teach it to you, the dude is constantly testing and practicing and using it in his own business to grow his business. So if you're going to invest or learn from anyone, who do you want to learn from? The person who's just a really good on stage, or do you want to learn from the person who's actually executing it at a high level? And that's a personal endorsement because I know that Grant knows what the hell he's talking about. So with all of that said now, and let's just say I'm an agent, I'm listening to this, and you know, I know you guys mentioned Witly in the beginning, and obviously clearly Grant's an expert on this. What does that platform look like? Because obviously you kind of just gave him a 30,000 foot view of how the whole thing works and how you can do it. But let's just say, like most, I don't want to actually go through and do it. I just want to sign up for something and have it do it for me. What does that look like?
So we built Witly to do everything that I just described to you. So Witly actually runs your ads for you. So if you're trying to set up a video remarketing campaign, instead of uploading your video to Facebook or whatever, and then building an ad and doing all the special housing category and dealing with ad rejections, this is happening a lot now. And instead of going through all that process, we basically built Witly to do that stuff for you. So you create your video content and you upload it right to Witly, and then you literally just upload your content to Witly, you write your ad copy, and we have account managers that coach you through that if you need help. And then you click the submit button after you target it and set your budget, and then boom, you know, Witly builds your ads for you so that you can focus on your current clients, and we can continue to help you. Witly can help you continue to generate your next client. And you know, in its most simplistic form, everything that we've talked about as far as lead gen and video remarketing and all those types of things, we built Witly to do that stuff for you, because I've not yet met an agent, even that's very successful at using Facebook as an advertising platform, that likes doing it. And so we took everything that we know that works exceptionally well, and we just pre-programmed it into a software that does it for you. So instead of having to set up Facebook ads by yourself, or instead of having to hire a marketing agency at 10 times the cost of Witly, and instead of having to buy a training program, basically just upload your content to Witly, and then Witly goes to work and builds all that stuff for you.
So Grant, you're telling me that I can go shoot some videos. I can upload them to Witly. Am I also uploading a database? Am I uploading past leads, or what do you suggest there?
You can, yeah. We're currently integrating with as many of the CRM platforms as we possibly can, so that if we're integrated with your CRM, your contacts basically just show up in Witly, and so you don't even have to do anything. Witly will build your custom audiences for you. But if we're not integrated with your CRM, you just upload a customer file, like a CSV file or Excel file, right into Witly, and then Witly will build your custom audiences for you. So you don't even have to log into the Facebook Ads Manager. We highly recommend basically setting it up to where you've got your database set up in Witly, and then Witly can create a custom audience within Facebook. So your video content is being shown to people that you're trying to convert, or people you're trying to get referrals from, or people you're trying to recruit. Whatever your objective is, yes, you should upload a database to Witly, and then Witly will build the target audiences for you from a remarketing standpoint. So yeah, highly recommend, obviously, that you do that.
And so, and obviously not everybody's on Facebook. So let's just say I upload a CSV. What happens there? Like what is the accuracy of it finding that same, what if my customer's name is Joe Smith?
Right. Yeah. So when you upload a customer file, typically you have their name, their email, their phone number, and maybe even other information about that person. And when Witly builds a custom audience for you in Facebook, what it's going to do is it's going to match those profiles to Facebook accounts if it can. If there's no data on that person, then it simply will not match to them. But for the most part, we're seeing a high success rate at healthy audiences being built. Facebook doesn't give us, or anybody for that matter, insight into how much of your audience profile matched. They will just build an audience for you. And there's some anonymity there where Facebook doesn't show us, they don't show you, they don't show anybody how many people are in that audience. But what we're doing is we're matching names, emails, phone numbers, and other information that's provided. And then Facebook is creating a custom audience of that data.
Lookalike type.
Kind of, yeah. So, I mean, the initial custom audiences of the database, and then you can do what we call audience expansion, which is creating a lookalike audience. And Facebook will actually create a lookalike audience, basically people that match the data that you gave them. So if you're trying to market, example, Fizbos, you can upload a file of Fizbo data, and then you create a lookalike audience, and Facebook will say, okay, well, these are all the people in our platform that we think are like the for sale by owners that you gave us a sampling of. So that would be one example of doing that.
So if you're not familiar, like this is the first time, which I hope it's not for many. I hope you've heard, you know enough about this, but if you're not familiar with this, this is the amazingness. That's the best word that just came to mind. That totally was a failure of social media and technology. And it's creepy. I hear that all the time. It's like, it's creepy. They're listening to me. How do they know so much about me? And I can tell you the way I think about it. It is creepy and it's awesome, right? It's so cool. And if you embrace it and you realize the opportunity that exists, especially with platforms like Witly, that'll help you you don't have to become the expert. You just go find the experts and plug into their systems and use them. Because think about that. Like, you can take that audience that is this a past client audience. Maybe it's an audience you've nurtured. It's an audience you've been connected to. Maybe it's just it's a cold audience, but these algorithms and this technology is going to find the same type of people that have the greater likelihood of becoming your customer. Folks, this is mind-blowing, amazing stuff. Do you have anything to add on that topic?
Well, I mean, just consider your own behavior. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast and you've ever been targeted with a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, and you saw the product and you went and bought it, maybe you didn't buy it, but they kept marketing to you and kept marketing to you and kept marketing to you. And eventually you bought it. I just bought like a t-shirt a couple of weeks ago because of that. I've bought many things from Facebook ads because of remarketing. If that's ever happened to you and it has worked, guess who else it will work with? Mm-hmm. It will work with people that are thinking about buying or selling a home. And the cool thing is that when you're doing remarketing in real estate, you're just building a relationship with people. You're not even necessarily selling anything. You're selling yourself for sure. And so it makes it even that much easier, because all you have to do is create video content and upload it to Witly or to Facebook for that matter, and just do retargeting. And you're not having to create all these crazy, e-commerce type funnels that people have to create to sell products. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. It's very simple. Again, just factor in your own behavior. If you've ever seen a Facebook ad, learned about a company, and then bought something from them, or after they targeted you with more ads, did remarketing and then eventually bought a product, you know that it works because it worked on you. And it's going to work, and based on my experience, based on, again, helping people sell billions of dollars real estate doing this, it will help you convert 2 to 3 times more of the buyer and seller leads that you may be currently generating.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it, in my opinion, is you're attracting instead of chasing. It's as simple as that. There's no one way to skin this cat. Grant really focuses on what he's good at, which is the lead generation and the retargeting and the video remarketing. Because the way I do it is completely, I wouldn't say completely different, but it's the same effect. It attracts business. Like my phone just rings. I don't have to call for it anymore. I just wait for it to literally, folks. I'm not making this crap up to sell something. I'm telling you, this is how it works for me. Grant can say the same thing, and most of his clients can say the same thing. This is how it works, but you've got to give it a chance. So Grant, I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm like, damn it, Jeff, you're right. I need to take action. How should they take action?
I don't know if we developed a special link for everybody that listens to this podcast beforehand. But it's as simple as just going to www.witly.net, or if there's a special link, I'm sure Jeff will post in the show notes, and just going and trying it out. I mean, Witly is free for 2 weeks if you want to try it out. It's 14-day free trial. If you want to go try it out and let us show you how just simplistic it can be to increase your conversion and generate more sales. But if you're not using video remarketing, I mean, that's the number one secret weapon that our clients have. Versus their competition, is that they're able to effortlessly follow their prospects all over the internet until they're ready to do business with them. And so they only are spending their time talking to buyers and sellers that are ready to go. And I've spoken to thousands and thousands and thousands of agents. All of them have said, I wish I got more people that were ready to do business now. Well, hey, look, let's just build some systems that bring you people that are ready to do business now. So that you can have that. And I think that it's not a far-fetched fantasy. It's the reality of everybody that I work with, because it's exactly what the system that, we're coaching people to put in place. Or now we're not really coaching them anymore. Now Witly's just doing it for you. So if you want to check it out, just go to witly.net / well, there's no / I don't know if we have that special link, but if there is, it'll be posted in the comments. Just go to www.witly.net and you can try it out for free.
And let me spell that for you. WITLY, Witly.net. Grant, I mentioned in the beginning your video remarketing summit that just took place, where Grant had some just amazingly high level speakers talking just about this and how to integrate video into your business. And, Tristan was a speaker, and Carrie Scholl was a speaker, as two that I've mentioned, and Mike Cuevas and Krista Mayshore, and gosh, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, Tom Ferry, it was top notch. If they're interested in checking that out, is there a way for them to do so? Do they do that through the witly.net?
I think it's witly.net / video is the current link for that. And I could be wrong, so I want to apologize in advance. Jeff, I'm going to go look and give you a private link. That way, if anybody wants to check that out, they can.
Perfect. And I will, we will add those to the show notes. As well as we can add it to when we post this to social media. We can make sure that we do also add that in the comments of the post as well. So that would be awesome. That's my fault for not prefacing this before our call, because I just get so excited. I start throwing crap out there. I'm sorry, Grant.
That's all good.
But here's what I can tell you folks is you want to check this out. And it was an amazing event. Like, let's just say if you need more, that is something that it would be well worth your time to go spend some time watching some of these interviews, some of these videos from some of the top video experts in the business, and not just necessarily experts, but people that they are experts, but also people that it's how it's impacted their business. And I don't know, for me, the more testimonials, the better. It just kind of validates things and gets me pumped up and gets me motivated. And that's exactly how all the VIPs left that event. I mean, I remember sitting in that theater, you asking them the question, and it just felt like some people were about ready to jump out of their chair. Like, I need to go shoot video. Right. And this is how we want you all to, that's one of the things we want you to take from this. And Grant's got it. So witly.net, WITLY.net. Go check that out. Grant, any parting words?
I mean, if you're trying to figure out how to convert more of your leads, video remarketing is the answer. And you don't have to pay anybody to figure that out. I mean, you just go create a video. It's 90 seconds, tells people why you sell real estate, and start letting that video follow your leads all over the internet. You're going to see your engagement go way up. You're going to see your conversations go way up. You're going to see your business start to transform. And you don't need to pay anybody to learn that. I mean, it's as simple as going and putting that in place yourself. And if I can help you do that, I'm happy to. But I know that we're in a very unique time where inventory is tight, at least as of this recording, and people are having to get more creative with how they get attention. And when you get leads coming into your business, you have an opportunity to keep their attention. And I think that a lot of people are just missing the boat because they'll pick up the phone, call the lead, move on to the next. And that's not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
You guys already know people aren't answering the phones. They're not responding to your texts. They're not maybe responding to your emails. And that's because you are no different than the next agent that's doing the exact same thing. And so if you can stand out right now, you have an incredible opportunity, and I think you'll have it for a little bit longer, another couple of years. So you need to seize it while you have it before the video gets a little more crowded and more people come and it gets a little more difficult. Right now I don't mean to say it's easy, but right now it's easier than it will be in a few years. So
100%.
take action now and seize the market.
100%. And for anybody thinking to themselves, well, but if it's going to change again in 2 years, why bother? Well, the reason why you want to quote unquote bother is because you want to, the faster you get good at it, the easier it will be to shift to the next thing, because it's going to continue to shift. I mean, right now, as Grant knows, we talk about TikTok and how popular it is and how it is the next level of social media. Well, guess what? 1, 2, maybe 3 years from now, TikTok's going to be old news, just like kind of Facebook has become that in the social media realm. Well, the faster you get this integrated into your business, the faster you'll be able to evolve and adopt the new stuff that comes through. And the longer you wait, the further behind you're going to get. And what Grant Wise is doing at Witly is one of those platforms that will help keep you out ahead and help you grow your business. Grant, thank you for being on today, my friend. As always, it's fun to talk shop with you.
Absolutely, my man. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
LabCoatAgents Podcast.